Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's severe weather update. So, severe weather is making an unwelcome return, and looking at today's Storm Prediction Center's severe weather outlook, we have a slight risk across much of central Nebraska through far northern Kansas in the yellow, and another slight risk of severe weather across central southern Oklahoma, far north Texas in this yellow area as well, with a marginal risk covering most of Oklahoma, north Texas, eastern New Mexico, western Kansas, much of Nebraska, into southern South Dakota in the dark green today. And unfortunately, this does come with a tornado threat, where we do have a 5% chance of tornadoes touching down within 25 miles of a location from far northern Kansas across central Nebraska from north to south, including McCook, Nebraska through Valentine, Nebraska, and then we have a 2% tornado risk in the green surrounding that, extending into areas of far southern South Dakota, with another 2% tornado risk across southeast Oklahoma and far north Texas in this green area today, including Norman and Dallas-Fort Worth. So make sure you're on guard for a few spin-up tornadoes today if you live across the green and especially the brown areas today. And looking at the damaging wind threat today, we have a 15% chance of damaging straight line winds of 58 miles per hour or stronger within 25 miles of a location across southern Oklahoma, far north Texas, far north Kansas, into central Nebraska in these yellow areas. 5% damaging wind risk in the brown area for much of the marginal risk area. And looking at the large hail threat today, we have a 15% chance of quarter-size hail or larger within 25 miles of a location across southern central Oklahoma, far north Texas, and then from far northern Kansas across central Nebraska in these yellow areas. And we do have a hatched area from far northern Kansas stretching across central Oklahoma, or from across central Nebraska through Valentine and McCook. And we could be seeing hailstones of golf ball to baseball size today. So make sure you're parking your cars in the garage if you live in this yellow hatched area. And then 5% hail risk in the brown area today. Now, unfortunately, this continues into tomorrow, where we have another slight risk across much of Nebraska into southern South Dakota, marginal risk in the dark green from Kansas through portions of northwest Missouri, western Iowa, eastern Wyoming. Tornado risk is at 2% today, but that could increase when we go into tomorrow. Damaging wind risk is at 15% in portions of South Dakota and Nebraska, 5% in the brown. Hail risk is also at 15% in the yellow, 5% chance in the brown for tomorrow. And unfortunately, we could be looking at a possible severe weather outbreak as we go into Saturday with a large slight risk from central northeast Oklahoma through eastern Kansas, eastern Nebraska, southeast South Dakota, southwest Minnesota, western central Iowa, western central Missouri, and then a marginal risk for Saturday extending from north central Texas all the way through central Minnesota into much of South Dakota. So Saturday is going to be a day to really watch for severe weather. And unfortunately, also have some flooding to talk about, with a slight risk of flooding today across southeast Oklahoma, far north Texas, portions of far southern South Dakota, northern Nebraska, marginal risk in the dark green across portions of the Rockies, from Nebraska through the Dakotas into portions of the Midwest and portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas, and the far southeastern coastline with a coastal low. And then, as we go into tomorrow, slight risk of excessive flooding rainfall for much of Montana, northern Wyoming, southwestern North Dakota, northwestern South Dakota, as well as with a potential subtropical system across portions of North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, into the Delmarva, and then marginal risk in the dark green for tomorrow for much of the northern plains, northern Rockies, portions of the South Central Plains, and Mid-Atlantic. And then going into Saturday, slight risk for much of the severe risk area from Oklahoma through the Dakotas, Iowa, Missouri, into Minnesota, marginal risk from Texas to the Canadian border. And then for Saturday, slight risk across the mid-Atlantic and northeastern coast into New England, and marginal risk extending further inland. So make sure you're on guard today for severe weather across the plains, especially tornadoes across portions of central, southern Nebraska into northern Kansas, and then some isolated tornadoes across portions of Oklahoma and North Texas. Thanks for watching today's severe weather update. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day, my friends.